How you doing, everybody? Welcome
Howdy.
to the Ecchi and Chill podcast. I am your host, Suneater Evan. You can call me Evan. You can call me Scameron Diaz. You can call me Avatar Pharaoh. Call me what you want. I am happy to be here with you guys today, and I have a very special guest. But before I bring him in, because you already know about him, I'm going to make him wait a little bit longer because he played 2 before 1, which is pure heresy. It's pure heresy. Honest to God, straight to the boiler room of hell. Only worse if you played 3 before 2 before 1. Then that's like, leave this planet. Go off this plane of existence. But anyway.
I did play 1 before 3, though.
Okay, good. So, welcome to the show, everybody. It's good to have you here. This is the first official recording of the show. Also, I recorded this a week before Christmas. That's why all the decorations you see in my background are still up. Ashley, my fiance, did an incredible job taking care of the apartment. But this episode's going to go up in February. Why? Because between all my writing and podcasting, I'm getting everything set up on schedule so I'm not burned out by the time this episode goes up. So it'll be up in February. All the decorations will be down. Don't be in my YouTube comments like, oh, is your tree still up? No, this is the week before Christmas. And not a gift in sight. Silence all through the night. I don't know how the Christmas Carol goes. I'm sure I butchered it. People are like, Evan, we don't want you doing anything. Additionally, I have family coming over that should be here in about 10, 15 minutes. So if you see them in the background, don't mind them. Say the drama for your mama. Moving on.
Just moving on.
So let's get started. 8 minutes in.
Wow, that was a fast 8 minutes.
8 minutes in. Let's get started.
Those 8 minutes brought to you by
I am with a guest today. So you have heard, I am with a friend of a very long time. And this is the first time we've seen each other in a very long time. Schedules just happen to open up, and it's always beautiful.
Years.
When they do like that.
Decades.
We have a gaming enthusiast, an anime watcher, and soon-to-be Twitch affiliate. I'll speak it into existence. Welcome to the program. You can find him on Twitch at arclay_red, on YouTube at arclay_red93. He don't do Twitter, but don't do Twitter because Twitter's a cesspool. Welcome to the show, Cook.
Hey. Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be in the first episode of the podcast. Thank you. Thank you very much.
This is the opening recording.
Yes.
First recording. I was going to record last Sunday, but then I was like, I don't feel like it. I'm going to play FIFA. Terrible idea.
I'm just going to pretend that he was like, I will save this for the man, the myth, the legend, the beard himself.
Oh, the single only man, myth, legend. So stop looking at me on camera when I'm on my phone. I'm talking to my fiance, making sure that they're not going to interrupt my recording. I don't want to be in a zone. But anyway, how you doing?
I'm seducing the fan base as we speak.
Oh, that's silky smooth radio voice. How you doing? It's good to have you here.
Fantastic. I'm wearing a sweater for those who can see me, and I'm dying of heat. But besides that, I am excelente.
You want me to turn the fan on?
Hell no. Just let me bathe.
Let it be spicy.
Extra spicy.
You know what? You and I were talking off
Triple
camera.
Whopper.
You and I were talking
Sriracha.
off camera about something pretty funny, and I kind of want to bring it back up. I was telling you that Doctor Strange didn't test very well, and you had brought up that it was going for a horror kind of vibe.
Yeah, from what I saw, I didn't know that the testing didn't do well, but I saw online that they were apparently going for vibes of more of a horror-ish tone for this movie.
With the multiverse of madness, and he was going to have Wanda in there, and they were going to do that. And I was like, with the Marvel formula as restrictive as it can be, the movies all go pretty predictably. That's the word. They all go pretty predictably. So I think that throwing in a horror element to an otherwise superhero movie and putting that on screen is going to be hard. It's going to be a lot harder than Disney thinks, and to make it stick would be much more of a challenge. But then again, they also did think that Avengers Endgame being 3 hours was too long, and everybody said, you shut your mouth. Make it 4 hours.
Those 3 hours flew by more than any other 3 hour experience that I've watched. And I'm a Lord of the Rings fan, so I know what 3 hour experiences are like.
Is this a safe space? Can I be vulnerable for a second?
Absolutely.
Saw all 3 Lord of the Rings movies. Didn't like it.
I'm out. Gone. This is no longer a safe space. How dare you?
Thanks, everyone. Welcome to the world's shortest podcast.
But hey, that's
You
your
cracked open your PewDiePie G Fuel for no reason.
Exactly.
Although I will say, I don't think Lord of the Rings was bad. I just don't think it was for me. Because the more I read fantasy novels and play D&D, the more I just don't like high fantasy. The elves and the dwarves and the humans have to ally to
And the
orcs to defeat this all-powerful evil that'll end the world. I just never liked it. So the more I like, oh god, I'm gonna sound like such a
you mean that movie where those 5 adults and those 4 kids bring a ring to a volcano?
I mean, everything sounds dumb when you put it like that.
I know.
Star Wars, you barely see stars, and there's kind of sometimes wars. It's more like it's more like planet skirmishes.
You're not wrong there.
Somebody's gonna turn this podcast off just because I said that. Planet skirmishes. I'm terrible, but nah, like it's just not for me. And I think that not that it's not good. Not for me. I was more of a Harry Potter fan because as magical and fantastical as Harry Potter got, they were still mystery novels that were pretty fun to solve as you weave in the magic and being a student.
Speaking of Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings, time to age ourselves. Those movies came out 20 years ago.
I hate you. I hate you. 20 years ago?
Yeah, 2001 was Fellowship of the Ring, which was the first film.
2001?
Yep. Two Towers came out 2002. Return of the King came out 2003.
God, I was like 7 or something.
I know, right? And
I don't do math.
And Sorcerer's Stone was either 01 or 02. I don't remember, but still, it's like that's close enough. If it came out 02, it's still 20 years.
I remember reading Sorcerer's Stone for the first time. Such a good book.
I'm one of those people that saw the movies before he read the books.
That's fine. Are you much more of a book reader anyway?
I was when I was younger. But unfortunately, the older I've got, the less. I've been trying to get back into reading books more as I'm getting older, but I catch myself less reading, if that makes sense.
I do want to point out this is an anime and manga podcast, so feel free to read the manga too.
Absolutely.
Not of Harry Potter. I mean manga in general. That was a terrible segue.
No.
Did you hear about the Harry Potter manga? Yo, Ron be going off in the manga.
It's just a whole page of just angry.
Although I will tell. Speaking of manga, don't worry, we're gonna get to our topic soon. 15 minutes in.
We'll get there. Don't worry. Get some popcorn. Get some drinks. Chillax.
If you want to see some genuinely unsettling and creepy panels in manga, read The Promised Neverland.
Yes.
It is a pretty scary, not dark themed. The genre of
it's
the context is dark,
yes.
but like episode to episode, it just has a dark theme. You don't see people getting gored and
episode
ripped
1
apart.
of the anime scarred me for
Really?
a hot moment.
Episode 1 scarred you?
Yeah, well, not like literally scarred me, but like I was not expecting what it turned out to be.
Oh my god!
That specific reveal, I'm not a spoiler. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but you know what I'm talking about.
If you watch The Promised Neverland,
I just
you know
sat
what we're
there,
talking about.
jaw dropped, like, what?
Yeah.
Oh.
If you go into that anime, you know very quickly what it's about. And it's really great. I think everybody should watch it. But like there was a panel I saw the other day. I was reading it on my iPad, and it genuinely was one of the creepiest panels I've ever seen. Like it was unsettling. I flipped the page. I threw that iPad across the room so fast. I'll show you it. I'll show you it later today.
Excellent.
But like
I'm going to be scarred tonight, folks.
They draw a monster, and holy hell was it scary. And that's coming after I read Chainsaw Man, and they have the devils in there to be terrifying to look at. But this one in Promised Neverland came out of nowhere. It was truly unsettling, and I was shook for a minute. Like I remember sitting on my couch just going, "Whoa!"
Oh! Oh! Just slowly turned like, oh.
Yeah. Like how do you have a page jump scare you? It's just ink. It's just pixels. God.
You're not wrong.
But anyway, so let's get this started. Where do you want to start today? We got a lot to talk about. But as I said earlier, as the name suggests, this is a gaming episode. If you want to hear some anime breakdowns, come back next week. We talking about games today. Cook, you've been a gamer since forever. I'm not entirely unconvinced that you popped out the womb with the controller in your hand.
I mean, I'm not. I wouldn't be surprised. My earliest memories that I can recall is playing Link to the Past on the Super Nintendo.
Oh my God,
But
really?
it wasn't
That's as far back as you go.
well, no, like my for sure locked in memories are N64. So I'm pretty sure I was watching somebody as like a young infant playing Link to the Past on a TV. I wasn't playing it. I mean, this is also a very hot take. I didn't play Link to the Past till I was like 15, 16 when I bought the cartridge at a random store, and then a friend of mine got the Super Nintendo, and we just played it, and then he beat the crap out of it, and I'm just like, yes, I love this game.
I'm sure somebody clicked this podcast. Oh no, keep hitting things. I'm sure somebody clicked off this podcast here and there.
Oh yeah, somebody. I just pissed off somebody. They're like, "You call yourself a Legend of Zelda fan? You zealot."
Hey, it's not about when you become a fan; it's that you become a fan.
Well, the Legend of Zelda series was definitely the series that made me a fan of gaming. That and Resident Evil. Lovely combination there, eh? I mean, we got Legend of Zelda, young kid
near
fantasy,
polar opposites.
Resident Evil, zombies, apocalypse, guns, death, just go. But nah. We went up. Hello, Mike.
Did you just forget the mic's position relative to your face?
On
You're staring at it.
I had a moment there for a hot second. But no, it's like we were talking about how many controllers we break. Why don't we talk about levels in video games that might have triggered such events?
Oh, you spoke right to me. So that's exactly what I want to talk to you about. What are the levels that just broke you with pure anger? I have one I want to start with, and it's your favorite level.
I have multiple, but I know what you're going to talk about.
I'm gonna keep mine timely because I see your page of notes.
What notes? What are you talking about?
Oh, don't put that notebook away.
What are you
don't
talking?
put that notebook away.
About?
We see you. I caught you in 4K. Anyway, the first level I would say that really broke me with anger would have to be Kingdom Hearts 1, Atlantica, fighting Ursula. The very first time I fought her. That's the first time I think in Kingdom Hearts where you fight a boss that huge, aside from Jafar, but Jafar's more like jumping around. He's not really hard. But Ursula in Kingdom Hearts 1, the level design on that sucks. Because you're Sora with this little shark fin. Donald Duck has the capacity to heal you, but never fucking does.
He just floats in the distance like...
No, and another thing, y'all gonna stop giving Goofy a pass, because so many times, Goofy is quite the fighter. Max HP, max defense, no magic, still dies. Goofy be getting fucked up in Kingdom Hearts.
A hill?
He be getting hooked up. Man, Goofy be getting shit rocked. So, the funny thing about that, not funny at all, that why I hated that is because not only is Ursula so big and she shoots these giant mouth laser beams, is that there's random clouds of thunder that will hit you if you don't time it perfectly to heal yourself, because Donald won't do it, useless healer. And the swimming controls in that are so terrible.
Hot garbage.
Like, at least the flying controls are pretty decent in that game, even though I'm not a fan. They don't give you crazy bosses to fight like that, but you have to tap really fast to swim fast. You have to press a separate button to ascend and descend. And by this point in the game, you have a bunch of keyblades to work with, but your numbers aren't good enough to spec towards something unless you've focused on it since the beginning of the game. And Ursula just be smacking you around with that trident. I was so upset that level. My first time playing it, I almost walked away completely. There's like a moment you have in games where you realize, I just want to start over. That was my moment.
Yeah, I will. Like I said earlier, I played Kingdom Hearts 2 before I played Kingdom Hearts 1. Atlantica has made me stop playing Kingdom Hearts 1 for a hot minute. But I am on the same agreement there. Atlantica is just not fun to play in Kingdom Hearts 1 or 2 with its musical crap. Turning it into a musical QuickTime event. Press X, press circle. Watch them sing and swim around.
So you'd rather swing a keyblade at Ariel then?
I'd rather never go back to Atlantica.
At least in 2, you don't have to play it.
Yeah. At least in 3, they just brought back Ariel as a summon and you never saw Atlantica again.
Okay. I wouldn't know. I didn't finish 3. Although, I should have brought that up as a gaming rage moment, was the Frozen world. Up the mountain, down the mountain. Up the mountain, down the mountain. And then they go for the hat trick. You go up the mountain. They send you back a third time. You know what I did? I took that shit back to GameStop. Same day shipping.
And
I walked in there first thing in the morning, bought it, came back at closing. Don't ever show me this again.
And then the cherry on top of that, they give a CGI cutscene for Let It Go. But with the Kingdom Hearts characters sitting there watching it happen, like, I've already heard enough of this.
Oh, you could tell they wanted to get those butts in seats.
Oh, yes.
Well, let's move on. Let's move on because I'm getting angry. I'm getting angry.
And then levels for me, I had one as a kid specifically, and then one in recent memory as of like this year. Didn't break anything though. Now, I'm on the agreement with Atlantica there. For me, it was the Great Bay Temple in Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, which you'll hear a lot of that today. Now,
I'm going to put a Majora's Mask counter for the YouTube audience.
Now, for Zelda fans, a lot of people curse and condemn the Water Temple from Ocarina of Time, the game before Majora's Mask. But for me, I actually picked up Water Temple pretty decently, even back when I was a kid. Great Bay Temple, on the other hand, can just piss off and die for all I care as a temple. Like, you just get ass backwards everywhere. You don't know where you're going. They got these tubes that are color coordinated, but you still wind up in the wrong room, and you're like, how the hell? I'm trying to swim here. I'm trying to get to the boss. This key doesn't go to this door. You're a giant fish. What is going on?
Is it a maze?
It's
is it a labyrinth that you have to swim through?
It's like the whole setup. It's kind of like a weird, like, it's when you arrive to it, it looks like a giant fish floating in the ocean. But you arrive and it looks like it's more like a factory kind of weird setup is the best way to describe it. And it's like you get in these rooms and you're like thinking there's got to be a small key in here. Maybe the map's in here. Maybe the compass. Nope, just a random room, middle of nowhere. And you thought you're heading one direction. You wind up going the next direction. And it's just like, even to this day, I still get triggered by the Great Bay Temple. And I mean, it's been a hot minute since I played Majora's Mask.
I'm triggered.
Whether it was the original or the 3DS remake, which is absolutely fantastic. I recommend playing that one over the original. But let's be honest. Great Bay Temple is just, I condemn that temple every time I play Majora's Mask. I never enjoy it. The music is bomb, though. But we'll get to that later.
I don't understand. I've never played it.
We'll get to the music later.
I've never played any of the Legend of Zelda games.
Yeah.
Oh, isn't Zelda the green one with the sword? I'm kidding. I know better. I know better. I know better.
Now,
so here's why the topic of gamer rage came up to me. Mm-hmm. Because I was playing Halo a few days ago. Halo Infinite. It's great. I suck. I'm terrible. Like, I don't know if you've ever played Destiny, but I'm not a really big first-person shooter guy. Mm-hmm. But I've been playing Destiny as the only first-person shooter for a while. And in Destiny, like, because, you know, all the things are space magic, like, whenever you have your class or whatever, whenever you have your character, when you shoot somebody and then you go in for the melee, you'll lunge forward just like 1 or 2 or 3 meters, depending on what your melee attack is. So me playing it nonstop for years, the distance in my head and the timing between when I can go for the melee to get that kill is just instant. Like, I just know it. I have it memorized. So I'll just assault rifle, bam, come in for the melee, clean it up, good. I have that memorized. Mm-hmm. Halo, there was like 25 deaths in a night that I had from that same issue of, like, I'm shooting them, I think I'm gonna pop the shield, I don't pop the shield, I whiff the melee, and they just melee me and just walk away. It's one thing to die and get outplayed. It's one thing to do the same thing 25 times in a row, die each time, because by the end of it, I'm like, why am I doing this? Why do I hate myself? All right. Sorry, momentary break. I'm sure it's jarring on the audio how it's just like, I'm going to tell you my next game. Silence. Nah. So we got my family here in the background, and my little brother got a PlayStation 5. And I looked at him like, I really want to rob this man. Let me tell you something, bro. I walked into Walmart, right? Mm-hmm. I read an article earlier that week. PlayStation 5's in stock. Restock on Saturday morning. Mm-hmm. Electronics get their shit in at like 10:30. I'm there at 10:31. I'm like, I can sneak something. So I was like, hey, can I get some assistance? They're like, yeah, what do you need? I'm like, yeah, I got PlayStation 5s around here. Dude looked at me like, no, you fucking idiot. Nobody has those. You ain't no bot. I was like, come on, bro.
But the online said you never trust the online.
I was hurt, dude. I've been trying to find one forever. I'm gonna have to go. I don't want to bend and give a scalper 200 above asking, but like at the time of this recording, Horizon Zero Dawn comes out, and I'm playing that day one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, Horizon Forbidden West comes out. I'm getting it. Like nobody's stopping me. But anyway.
Then I have Elden Ring like a week later coming out, and I'm
Exactly.
like, no one message me, call me, talk me. I don't exist for the week.
Hey, because when God of War Ragnarok comes out, the world stops.
Oh yes,
for a week.
Literally,
I'm not missing it.
It's literal Ragnarok for that game.
But yeah. So anyway, we're gonna get back to the jokes. Let me tell you something. You're a Halo guy. You know you about some Halo.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a level in Halo that broke me with rage.
Mm-hmm.
Halo Combat Evolved, The Flood. The name The Flood. Like 343 Guilty Spark is a level before that. Mm-hmm. And it is one of the, personally, I feel like it is the best mission in Halo mm-hmm. because everything about it is just creepy. It's terrifying. You're Master Chief. You've been waxing through waves of Covenant like it's nothing. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden you see the Covenant are scared of something. These big parasites. And it sets it up so beautifully and perfect in the environment. So you're fighting the Flood, and these things are terrifying and horrible. And the next level, you have to retrieve the index, or whatever the key is. I forget the name of it. I haven't played it in a while. And I mean, that place is just wave of flood, wave of flood, wave of flood, wave of flood. It just doesn't stop. And it is infuriating. Because crowd control, they will take you down. And it's sparse for ammunition at certain points. Mm-hmm. And I remember playing it when I was younger. I'm like, this is not what I signed up for. This is horror.
What is this?
It was impossible. And I think like that is probably the moment that started my gamer rage, because it's one thing to have a challenge and figure out a way to beat it. That shit was miserable. Especially after such a good, scary mission. It's nothing but flood. It was terrible. It was terrible. Hated it. Hated everything about it. Yeah. Although I did love the mission. The game was great. It was just throwing controllers at walls because they're all just coming around the corner screaming. I think that was the first time I cursed in my life. Little 13-year-old me. I was like, when the fuck is this over?
But now as an adult, which, just to give some context here, I just recently, within the last year, got into the Dark Souls, the Bloodborns, FromSoft's masterpieces. And only about a month ago did I beat Dark Souls 1 for the first time in my life, the remastered version, because Xbox 360 PS3 version just shudder thinking about it.
Oh, God, it's not that bad.
No, well, I started with Bloodborne and Dark Souls 3, so going back to Dark Souls 1 after playing those games, it's you feel the jank. You feel the jank. But the one area in particular, it's one of the final areas in the game, also depending on how you play the game. It's called Lost Izalith. And for those that know that area, you know. You know.
Points at camera for seriousness.
Absolute seriousness. It's the so Lost Izalith, lore-wise, is the area that one of the bosses, the boss itself is called the Bed of Chaos, which that's a whole nother topic. I don't want to talk about that abomination. Yeah, the Witch of Izalith lived in this area years before the events of the game took place, and it's just a crumbled kingdom within the demon ruins of the area. There's magma everywhere. These just random half dinosaur asses and tails, no front, just flooded the area. You're taking fire damage trying to run past them. They kill you in one hit, and you're just like, what the? And just, that was the only area in the game where I legitimately felt just absolute anger.
Of course, it's Dark Souls.
The Dark Souls get good raid. Everyone's like, oh, just get good. It's like, I was decent at that point. I'd beaten Bloodborne and Dark Souls 3 at that point.
Oh, no, Dark Souls has to be the
but Dark Souls 3
rage.
is the easiest Dark Souls. You listen here. They're all hard, no matter what your level is.
Continues to point at camera for emphasis.
Because I know someone's going to watch us and be like, just get good, scrub. It's like, oh, I got good.
I hate that happens. You'd say, man, dog, I have so much trouble with that mission. They're like, oh, I soloed it. The worst kind of people.
Oh, yes.
Oh, I soloed that, man. Oh, I did that first playthrough. 100%, man. It was easy. And I'm like, all right.
I can beat the game soul level 4 with no armor. Well, good for you. I feel like having a life.
I can't stand people like that. Yes. Oh, my God. And I know I'm going to hear those comments for this one. Mm-hmm. Here's something that broke me with anger, and I still wake up in a cold sweat with nightmares about it to this day. Mm-hmm. Pokemon Red and Blue Alternatively, Fire Red and Leaf Green.
Oh.
Cerulean City Gym fighting Misty.
Oh.
That's a bitch. I didn't like her in the anime specifically for this reason. Like
the game's ruined her for you.
Absolutely. Check this out. So you pick the right Pokemon starter in the beginning, be that Squirtle or Bulbasaur. You pick the right one. You don't pick a Charmander, you loser. Although you do get like a Steel move, which is good against Brock in the beginning. It's fine. So like you go through Brock. Rock Pokemon aren't really strong. Brock's just strong because you don't have many options in the beginning. Then you go through Mount Moon, which get some battles, get some Pokemon. There's not much of a chance to grind and level up before you fight Misty. So you just have one patch of grass, two. I'm gonna edit that out. Edit this out. Edit this out. It's gonna be a blooper. I didn't know I needed a blooper real to my shit.
I just see out of the corner of my eye just legs. I'm just like, what in tarnation?
You can be in frame, you just can't be in audio. I love you so much, man. I do. Anyway.
This is going down as an instant classic.
There's one patch of grass, and if you're not strong enough to beat your rival yet, chances are you're not. You can't go on the bridge to go fight the enemies north of the city. So you just gotta grind and keep going up against Misty. And her Water Pulse is like, hey, that's a pretty cool move you got. I hope you don't mind if I one-shot you. Even with your Bulbasaur, one hit can kill him. Even with your Squirtle, one hit will kill it. Charmander, don't even pretend.
You have no chance.
Don't even pretend you can do it. Like, all the other gym leaders in that game actually are pretty challenging. Like, if you pace yourself, like, I don't over-level my Pokemon. I want to be challenged. Because usually, by the time I get all the badges, I have my team. They're already high-leveled. I'm spanking everybody. I'm bored. So, like, I never beat the Elite Four because I got my squad and I'm bored. But Misty's a different breed of powerful. You don't have any special Pokemon yet. And Pokemon Yellow, she laughed at your Pikachu. Like, she is a terror in every version of that game that exists. And I don't care what people have to say about it. I'll wake up in a cold sweat thinking about having to fight Misty.
Did you have it to where she had her last Pokemon, you had maybe your last two Pokemon, it was down to sliver health, and then you're about to kill it and just, full heal?
Every time.
Every time.
Every time. She has infinite full restores.
Absolutely.
She has infinite full heals.
And it's always the Starmie.
I'm like, ooh, I got it. I can hear it on her side. The thing's beeping. I'm like, oh, with this next attack, I'm going to quick attack and I'm going to get her before she can use hers. Whoop. Misty powered up. And I'm like, you bitch.
And this is the story of how Evan broke his Game Boy.
Oh, I'm not kidding. Yes. That's how I broke my Game Boy Color, which is actually the only reason I got a Game Boy Advance was because that happened.
Oh, the Game Boy Advance. So many memories.
So good. So good. I remember playing a bunch of Sonic on that. It's actually the reason I never liked Mario, now that we're here. That's actually the reason I don't like jumping puzzles. Can't stand Mario.
Yeah.
The games are fun, though. Not for me. But anyway, Misty, if you're watching, you a bitch.
Both of
us. And nowadays, everybody realizes Cynthia's strong. And I'm like, y'all gonna stop sleeping on the Cerulean gym leader. Like, Misty is
the OG.
Misty's a force, all right? She looks you dead in your eyes and says, hey, Water Pulse, one shot, no mercy, offense. It doesn't help that water Pokemon are like OP in those early games anyway. And everybody's sleeping on it. Like, if you do a monotype run in Pokemon where you just pick one Pokemon, one type, they say don't do water because it's the strongest. And there's like so many of them. Squirtle, Vaporeon, Seal, the one with the big acorn stuck to its butt. It looks like a little hippo.
Oh.
Slowbro, that one. I'm sure somebody's going to pull this up and be like, Evan, an acorn?
Gears turned to my head. I was like, wait a minute.
It's like a big rock acorn or whatever.
And didn't they describe it as like a Shelder bites Slowpoke's tail, and then it becomes that, and then it becomes Slowbro?
I think so. Did you also know that Cloyster's a vagina?
Yes. I was literally just about to mention that right before you said that. You just beat me to it. Son of a gun.
Like, they were scraping the bottom of the barrel for what kinds of Pokemon they wanted to make. And one dude was like, let's just make a whole vagina.
Yeah, and when I didn't click that in my head till maybe I was about 19 or 20. I looked at the picture and I'm just like, wait a minute. Just, oh my
Yeah,
god.
all I'm saying is y'all gonna stop sleeping on how good Misty is. It's all right. Do you have another one for games that angered you?
That's mostly it for like adult. I'm trying to think of any in the memory banks of my mind that might have pissed me off to no end.
Fantastic. No, it's all good, man. Because if we're done
I'd say
complaining about games we hate,
closest thing to it, but it wasn't much, was maybe the Sephiroth boss fights.
in Kingdom Hearts.
Yes.
Oh, Sephiroth. Don't even bring that up.
I've beaten him in 2. I don't know how, but I have
I've
twice.
died so quickly. I don't have a chance to get angry.
I'm scared. I'm scared to get to him in Kingdom Hearts 1 and try that because I've heard that's much harder than Kingdom Hearts 2.
Oh, it's punishing. It's punishingly hard. Like, I haven't lasted long enough to get angry that I can't beat him. Because I'm like, well, I'm not doing that.
I was kind of sad he was not in Kingdom Hearts 3, but I understand why they didn't, because they, yeah.
Because the game sucks. That's why.
Yeah.
Because the game sucks.
Because Disney took way more control for Kingdom Hearts 3, let's be honest there.
Oh, that would explain it. God, the mouse. But anyway, so now that we're done with talking about, we can finish talking up about games that we like that, angered us. We can stop bitching for a second. Let's talk about some of our favorites
let's
and why.
a more positive tone.
Let's get into some of our favorites. So I ask you first, what's your favorite game? And it's going to be a game that isn't necessarily your favorite to play, but like you feel that kind of shaped you as a person or upped your standards for how games could or should be, or just a game you have fond memories of.
Well, as I hinted at earlier, we're going to begin with The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, which was the game that officially made me fall in love with video games. Mm-hmm. Like, Ocarina of Time was the one that made me realize that, I definitely am going to be a gamer, but Majora's Mask was the one that just made me like, oh, games can do more than just be entertaining. Because as there's a YouTube channel called The Completionist. He reviews video games. He completes them. I believe. Do you know about The Completionist, 7?
Would you storm off angrily if I said no?
Not really.
Okay, then no.
Okay, so as I said, he reviews video games by completing them 100%, like how blah, blah, blah. And his episode of Majora's Mask, the most recent episode he did, because he did like a review, his like first like 100 reviews, redo them kind of situation, like looking back at them. And he described Majora's Mask as being the yin and yang of hope and pain. Ooh, and that is a very good way to describe this game, because it's not a happy game. No, not at all. It's very dark, very deals with a lot of adult themes like death and loss and what a person's going through and all that stuff. And just the overall tone is just very dreadful but very hopeful at the same time. So that how The Completionist described the game was just a like perfect representation of the game. Now for me, I am very much driven by like music in video games. And the soundtrack of Majora's Mask is all over the place, both good and bad. I'm not going to say it's all perfect, because I don't believe in perfect.
So you're saying it's some skips on that album?
There's maybe like 2 to 3.
They could have kept a couple of the tracks.
Yeah. for example, the actual like title track theme is one of my favorite like title track themes. Like you're just sitting there on the screen and it's just like, I can vibe to this. And then the theme of Majora himself, the mask itself, is just very just dark and just like, oh my, this is menacing. This is terrifying. What is this going to be? What is this thing going to do to us in the world? What is it going to just do to the world in general? And then you go into the hub world of the game, Clock Tower, because it takes place not in Hyrule, which almost every other Zelda has taken place in. It takes place in this world called Termina. For those who haven't experienced this 21-year-old game now at this point, it is...
Hey, Xbox Game Pass is out. There's no excuse anymore.
If I
Greatest deal in games. Play it.
Only $10 a month. Do it. Now,
also, Microsoft, pay me.
Now, this game, takes place on a 3-day cycle where the world of Termina itself is just going to get crushed by a falling moon with a face that only a mother could love. It literally has, it's a moon with a face on it, just staring down at you the entire time. You have 3 days to beat this. Well, you can continually go back, loop through time, but you live this 3-day cycle over and over and over, completing side quests, obtaining different masks, because masks are the main theme of this game. And like you get certain powers, like one is like a bunny ears, makes you run faster. But most of them revolve around the different side quests.
I thought this game was super deep and serious. You mean to tell me bunny ears?
It's still a Zelda game. It has its moments.
Okay.
Now, but like experiencing the different side quests. Like a good example is what I could just call it the Romani side quest, which involves aliens. I'll get into it in a moment. Now, you're going to this ranch. This little girl, she's like, "Oh, you need to help me fight them." And you're just like, "What is them? What are you talking about, little girl? What is them?" You talk to her older sister who's running the ranch. It's just her and her sister. The theme's another beautiful thing because it's a play on one of the songs from Ocarina of Time, Epona's song, which is the horse. And then you learn by completing the side quest that aliens are there abducting their cows, and you have to fight the aliens so they don't abduct the cows or the little girl herself. Because if you don't do the side quest, you go back on the third day, the older sister is found in the barn just like crying, sobbing, if I'm remembering this correctly, and they actually abducted the little girl and she's gone. Like, which Aliens and Legend of Zelda game just like blew my mind as a kid. I was like, what is this? Oh my god, aliens!
That seems like a thing that's very different.
I know. Like this game is weird also. Did I mention that?
Yeah.
Now, one of the other side quests there,
So how does the side quest end with saving the kid? Like, how does that
if you actually complete
affect
it, you stop the aliens from you stop the aliens. Oh, so we're going. You stop the aliens from taking the cows, and you just save the ranch basically. And then you wind up getting that specific mask for that specific mission. Check it off in your little you get like a little notebook that lists like, oh, this character, this side quest, you get this, blah 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 blah. But the main side quest of this game involves around basically saving a marriage, which I know it's weird thinking about it. But basically you spend all 3 days doing this, and this. You have to do it in a specific order to complete this side quest, and you just get another mask out of it. But the concept of the story is like the man in the marriage, he got transformed by the Skull Kid who was wearing Majora's Mask. He's the villain of the game the entire time. And he transformed this guy into like a little child, basically. Like he's just the size of a little kid. And he's just ran away from the marriage because he doesn't want his soon-to-be wife to see him as that. Because he's like, how can you love blah, blah, blah. But by the end of it, she's like, oh, I love you for how you are. And I'll love you even though we're about to die in like 5 minutes. Because the end of that side quest ends with like 4 minutes left to go before the game's over from the world dying from the moon. So it's basically like it's better.
You've given me a lot of themes, and I don't know which follow-up question to ask because I have like 90.
There's a lot of like death, grief, getting over, just like fear and all that stuff. And just like I said, basically death and hope.
So it gave you lessons that stuck with you then?
Yes, absolutely. Just made me because you definitely help out a lot of people in this world. Like it's more side quests than actual like main game like this because there's only 4 dungeons. There's only 4 regions. You complete those dungeons, then you do the thing, fight Majora, you win. Mm-hmm. Now, so it's mostly side quests than anything else, and you get to learn these characters more than you would any other Zelda game. You get behind them. You're just like, I want to help these people, and it's like that game definitely made me want to help people more out than anything else. So it made me a better person in that aspect for sure.
Oh, that's
deep.
And
it didn't
that's
make
nice.
me, and I totally didn't like dark themes because of that game or anything at all. No. I totally don't have a statue of it in my apartment.
Dark themes? No. You hate those.
Not at all.
You hate dark music too, as far as I've heard.
No, what do you mean? No. Totally don't have a giant metal playlist on my phone, every phone I have. But no, Majora's Mask is by far like my personal favorite. Like I will wind up with the mask tattooed on me somewhere at some point. Probably my face itself. Just kidding.
Okay.
I would never.
Your face is the whole mask.
Literally. I'll just walk around just like, ooh.
I got one for you. And you're going to see this coming a mile away. My favorite game of all time. Kingdom Hearts 1. Kingdom Hearts 1. Because it's just a completely, nearly perfect game, to be honest with you. Like, I just love the game. I'm trying to put my thoughts together.
And it was different for its time. Like no one was
significantly so.
Like you said earlier, combining Disney with Square Enix.
Yeah.
Just like, whoa.
Put Disney together with Final Fantasy. And on the surface, it seems cheesy. Just you have this little kid run around with Donald and Goofy across all these worlds, and all they do is...
My friends are my power.
And oh my God, that's the speeches of that game are so cheesy. And that's why I think I didn't like 3 towards the end of it, because I've heard for 2 games straight, I love friends. We will never forget each other, blah, blah, blah. Like in the first game... I think why I like it so much, and here's a good barometer, I think, is the best compliment I can give a game or a show is that it just makes sense. Like Kingdom Hearts is a game where, of course, there's other worlds out there. You go fight alongside other Disney characters, and the big evil is the Heartless, who just seek to just eat everything and become the only darkness. Oh, my dog scared me. Jumped right up on my leg.
He's like, hello.
Yeah, which makes sense because, that's why you would go to every Disney world and try to go save it, right? It just makes sense. And then as you bounce from Disney World to Disney World, they each give you a lesson that they learned in their own individual world, which just makes sense. And as you go from world to world, you learn about friendship, you learn about communicating with other people. And the best part about that is all the Disney villains, they each all have a fight to where they're all mechanical. Because before, like, you have to really pay attention and counterattack correctly and defend and retreat and then go in. So even though the gameplay is limited to where Sora just takes this Keyblade and goes, ha, hoo, ha, the whole game, you actually have to do fire. I hate you for that so much. Like, you actually have to think. And that was different for me prior because every game I've played, you could just go up, button mash, and you pretty much would be all right. But the narrative of that game just links everything together in a way that just feels satisfying towards the end because as you're fighting Disney villains, you're not just going to the world for the fan service. Like, you don't go to Agrabah just to go beat up Jafar because it's fun. Like, all the Disney villains link up because that's just what, it makes sense they would do. Maleficent would meet with Jafar and Oogie Boogie and Ursula and say, hey, we can use these Heartless. And then you find out the big Heartless that has Kingdom Hearts where all the captive hearts go. The lore behind it is excellent. Like, the game, so it's such a, let me walk that back. The biggest compliment I can give it with it just making sense is that there's so much lore behind it that you don't need to know any of it to appreciate how big and grand the game really is. And it really upped my, I guess, standards because now I expect every narrative to engage me the way Kingdom Hearts did. And the best part about it is that even though it's not open world, it's like semi where they just have multiple levels of like the same room over and over. It's very Japanese role-playing game in the fact that it just looks at you and says, oh, no, fucking figure it out. There's a couple times in the game where it's like follow Tarzan or find Goofy or open the door. And you're like, hey, game, how would I do that? Let me just check the journal that one of my characters has been opening all game and writing in. Let me see what they would say. And he'd be like, well, follow Tarzan. I'm like, oh, where? It's like, well, the gorillas. Where? They there. They're in the jungle. You're like, the whole planet's a jungle. It's like, well, fucking figure it out.
Yeah, you're running around each area, deep jungle. Where is these gorillas? Sabor just jumps out of nowhere, randomly starts attacking. You're like, where'd you come from?
It is so satisfying to finally figure out where the gorillas are. That's why I hated Deep Jungle. But then I found it, and I'm like, the boss fight at the end of that one made me feel pretty good. But that it's something to be said because, like I told you earlier, Pokemon, like Fire Red, Leaf Green, and Red and Blue are my favorite games because there's times where they just don't hold your hand at all. Like, they just say, go do it. And there are times where that's restrictive and you're just like, I don't know what I need to do to figure this out. But then there are other times where, like, they'll put a couple cities in front of you, they'll put a couple bosses, a couple worlds in front of you and just say, all right, you're good. We gave you the freedom in the other world and you didn't like it. Now you have the freedom to go pick which world you want to not like. So I wouldn't really say it's the theme with me. It's just the fact that I love single-player games for the story. And the replayability of Kingdom Hearts 1 just keeps me coming back. Like, even though the combat itself is very limited, like, the story of it just feels satisfying because you go through all the worlds, you help all the worlds out, and you're Sora, and you need to help yourself by finding your friends. And then to find out your friends succumbed to the darkness, your other friend lost her heart, then the whole Princesses of Heart, which are the Disney princesses, again, just makes sense. And then you fight Maleficent. That dragon bitch was annoying. But then it was just such a good game because from start, middle, end, everything just flowed together, like, seamlessly. And I'm sure I've been talking way too fast, so you might want to watch this at, like, minus, like, at 0.75 speed. But it really made me, like, look at the games I play just like, is this good because it's just flashy? You know what I'm saying? Because, like, a lot of games, they just throw a bunch of action scenes in there and just like, yeah, be entertained. You're like, And a lot of times in Kingdom Hearts, they give you puzzles without even telling you that there's a puzzle.
Mhm.
Like Sora will walk up to like a blocked door and like, it's blocked somehow. And I'm like, well then Sora, use your magical key and figure it out.
It's like, do that thing where you twist and you know, open the door because it's a key.
Yeah. But I would have to say, like, just all of Kingdom Hearts 1 just worked perfectly. It was my first exposure to those kinds of games that the action, the story, just the big scale of what's going on. It doesn't ever make you feel like you can't do anything, but it never makes you feel like you can do everything. Does that make sense? I just thought of it just now. Like, you go around saving Tarzan, but like the Heartless are still smacking you around. You go to Traverse City, you go in Olympus Coliseum, you fight all these other people. Like, you never feel like you're this unstoppable warrior because you can't find Riku. And I remember the first Riku fight back at Hollow Bastion. He waxes you. Like, but it's a very feel good game, and the ending and the music, it all just, again, it works perfectly. All parts just come together. So I think that if I'm watching a game, it just has to, even if it's not on the level and have the budget and resources of Kingdom Hearts, it has to make me like feel a little bit. I have to get invested. And I think that's why I like it so much. Kingdom Hearts was the first game I really was like invested in. Like, I remember my sister sitting in my room with me, like, Evan, why are you crying? You played this game 4 times already. And I'm like, shut up. I found my friends. They're my power. I got the secret ending.
I finally got the ultimate weapon.
Exactly. She's like, why are you mad you lost to the boss? You beat him 5 times already. And I'm like, you mind the business that pays you. So now that I've thoroughly tanked the audience by rambling for 10 minutes, what would you say is another game that really spoke to you?
Now, staying on the topic of like experiencing games with like your sister, one of the games for me is actually Resident Evil 3, OG Resident Evil 3 from '99, not the remake that came out last year. That I don't like to talk about that one.
Oh, come on, it can't have been that bad.
I don't. The remake's not. I mean, it's not a bad game. It's just not a great Resident Evil game. Is the best way to describe it. Just like Resident Evil 6 and 5, and why is this one of my favorite series? But anyway,
so you like the series, but don't like half the titles in said series.
Basically.
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna stop you for a second. I'm gonna put a hypocrite counter on screen because I know somebody's gonna screen cap me one day where I say I only like 3 Kingdom Hearts games, despite the fact there's like 40.
And they're all on different forms.
And they're all
you need
plot
the PSP,
relevant.
You need the DS, you need the 3DS, you need a cell phone, you need all of it.
Oh my god! And it's all convoluted. So by the time 3 happens, you're like, what the fuck happened?
I mean, we say this like they didn't port it all into the PS4 under one package.
Although, moving on. I don't have a segue for that. Half of them sucked
So
anyway.
anyway, the year's 1999. Resident Evil 3 came out. Now, I did experience Resident Evil first with Resident Evil 2. I actually didn't experience Resident Evil 1 until I played the remake when I was like 9 or 10, when my mother got it for me for, I think, my birthday or Christmas or something on the GameCube. Now, Resident Evil 3 is actually both a prequel and a sequel to RE2. It takes place, the first half takes place before RE2, and then after a certain event in the game, it's after RE2. You play as the OG female character of the series, Jill Valentine, and you're basically trying to escape Raccoon City, which...
Oh, you know she's cool because she has the name Valentine.
Yeah.
I have yet to meet a bad character named Valentine.
She's Bae, and she will forever be Bae. Now, she's trying to escape the zombie-infested city. It's just in ruins. It's done at this point. Everyone's dead, except a handful of survivors. You're trying to get out. Now, the game's called Resident Evil 3 Nemesis because she has this 8.5-foot tall bioweapon with the grinniest grin you will ever see on anything or anyone in your life. He's literally just...
Can you show the camera that one more time?
and all he knows to say...
I'm screen capping that. And I'm putting it on Instagram, just so you know.
He's literally created now... Just a backstory. So the police department of the city has a special squad called the STARS units, or Special Tactics and Rescue Squad. They're like the best of the best that they have, even though they're filled with nothing but like 23 to 25-year-olds, and then like the 2 heads are like 40. But anyway, so the remaining STARS members, Jill's one of them, and there's another individual named Brad. This bioweapon, literally named Nemesis, was created to hunt them down and kill them before Umbrella eradicates the city, which happens at the end of the game anyway. Well, it's government. I keep forgetting. It's so much, 20 years. But my fondest memories of that game is just me and my sister playing that on my dad's PlayStation 1. And just,
oh, don't date yourself with that. Oh, my goodness.
It's 1999, Evan, first
oh,
of all.
my God.
Now,
how old were you back then? 25?
I was 37 3/4. Now, the
I
best
say this despite you being like a month older than me.
Now, this is why I gripe the remake more than the original. Nemesis just pops up at random points in the game and just beats the crap out of you, tries to kill you, and you have to escape him. He's in the remake, he's scripted, and that's why I have an issue with it, because he's like the OG face of like when you think of like the bioweapons and the creatures, like you think of Nemesis when it comes to Resident Evil.
Mm-hmm.
But also, most people don't put RE3 on the pedestal that I do. But he'll just pop up out of nowhere, just stars. Like, that's all he says. He just roars and says stars, because that's all he's hunting is stars members and you. And you're invading and all that. There's one point in the game which I will never forget this. There's a window at the bottom of the stairs in one of the points in the Raccoon Police Department, and you're finding a key to be able to access this certain gem to unlock a door to get out of the city. Yes, the city. Now, before you head down the stairs, you just hear... You hear glass shatter, and you feel the controller rumble, because they had rumble back at that point. And you're just like, what was that? You go down the stairs, because the loading screens at the time are just showing you go down the stairs or the door opening, all that. And you're like, all right, everything's fine. You walk past the window, and this son of a bitch comes flying through the window with X gonna give it to you right behind him. Just got a rocket launcher. 6-year-old me has a controller's hand, drops, it's going, ah! Just like not knowing what the heck's going on, just running for my life, trying to get through. He can go through all the doors, so he'll chase you through that son of a gun and just shoot you with rockets. And the worst part is he's got a tentacle in his hand.
A what?
He's got a tentacle. Comes out of his hand.
He's got what?
His introduction scene is him killing Brad with a tentacle through his face. And I'm like, I've seen enough hentai to know what's happening here.
I hate you for that. Oh, my God.
And that's one of the best scenes in the game, where he can grab Jill and you see him happen in his hand. It doesn't show a tentacle specifically, but they actually brought that back in the remake too, which makes me laugh so hard. But I just have fond memories of just trying to escape this son of a bitch with my sister. Just bolt back and forth, just like scared, like, because you could just round a corner, he's just there like, urgh. And just like, you're like, I don't have any ammo, I don't have any health, I'm literally limping because I'm in danger, I need something. Oh, there he is, he's gonna kill me. And just like the entire game is just basically running away from him, trying to get out of the city before it just explodes. And spoiler alert, you do kill him at the end of the game, because he's the only freaking boss in the game, besides a giant worm, which also didn't make the remake, and I'm bitter about that too. But that's not the point.
Is that the game you have the most fond memories of?
Besides Majora's Mask, I mean, kind of, yeah. That's like childhood-wise, those two games are the ones that stick out to me the most. A lot of more of my memories have come as like a late teen, early adult to current place right now. But like as a kid, Majora's Mask and RE3 original are the ones that stick with me the most, because RE3 was the one I played with my sister all the time, and then Majora's Mask, just like like I said before, a lot of stuff with that.
Nice.
Excellent. Just had a Mortal Kombat reference there.
I don't have a follow-up question.
Darn.
Kidding. How's that up your standards since?
I mean,
or has it actually, or is it just holds a special place in your heart?
It's just more of a special place in my heart kind of game. Just like it made me. It was one of those things, like I said, like you, most of the time, and just running away from Nemesis. It definitely made me learn to like conquer my fears more. Just like I wound up like there's periods like, all right, I'm gonna just fight this guy. See, I got ammo, boom, 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 and then I wound up beating him for the first time, and then I just see a giant briefcase drop out. I'm like, he has loot. And you wind up getting parts to make an even stronger handgun or stronger shotgun. You're like, oh my God. And after that point, it's just I obliterate him every time I play the game now. Like I have it on the GameCube, just boot that thing up and just.
Oh, the GameCube?
Oh yeah, they ported that stuff to the GameCube, but I was never more happy in my life.
The GameCube.
I'm about to date us even more, because I found that out at a regular Blockbuster. Yes, that was a store. Chill, right? But no, I'm just walking through there. All of a sudden, I see RE2, RE3 on GameCube. I'm like, what is this?
Blockbuster.
Like, I was like, again, 9, 10 years old. This is like, yeah, I was just like, oh my God.
I'm really going to date us. Remember when Netflix came in the mail?
Oh my God.
Remember when we had to order DVDs and get them delivered and ship them back? Remember GameFly?
Oh my God, GameFly.
GameFly was killing it till Game Pass came out.
GameFly, the original Game Pass.
Yeah, but I'm just realizing we might be able to just move on to the next topic because I'll tell you why. The next notes I have, I've gushed so much about Kingdom Hearts, where every part of it just flows together and the narrative is amazing. Same for Horizon Zero Dawn. Every bit of that narrative flows together. Plus, I love me some strong female characters in games. Aloy is awesome. I get to shoot robot dinosaurs with bows and arrows and spears. Like, honest to God, it's great. Spider-Man PlayStation 4, I think, is the best piece of Spider-Man media. Second to only Into the Spider-Verse. I think the Spider-Verse is the best Spider-Man movie ever, and I'm going to fight tooth and nail on that one.
It's an incredible
But, like,
movie.
the narrative is awesome. It makes you feel like what it means to be Spider-Man, where you're invincible, you can beat everybody, but, you know, sometimes you can't save everybody, and it's beautiful. And then finally, Fallout made me love open world, specifically 3, mostly because your mission through 3, is like once you leave the first vault. I don't know how familiar you are with the Fallout series.
I'm somewhat familiar, not the greatest.
Yeah, so, you know, essentially Fallout is a couple centuries past where the whole world bombed each other in, like, World War II, and the world's perpetually stuck in that time area, like the old style music and clothes and fashion and all that. But it's a constant struggle to survive. And Fallout 3, the atmosphere of it is just gray and brown and depressing, and most people are just fighting to survive. And it makes me feel like I need a game. If you're going to say, hey, we're this big action thing, I need the environments to reflect that. Like, if you're this big mystery game, I need the environments to reflect that. If I walk into a room, I better be checking everything for clues. Like on your Twitch stream one time, you were walking in some room, you were like, wait a minute, I'm going to check for clues. Wait a minute, let me check. Wait a minute. And I'm like, it's a base. It's fine. Move.
I know exactly what you're talking about, too. It's just making me
I'm like, leave. God, you've been here before. And then you walked into another room, found a clue, and they were like, ooh, I know what this means. I'm like, no, it doesn't. Damn. But no.
Is that survival horror
Fallout 3 is personally my favorite because the whole thing is depressing. The wastelands are just giant and empty. And people hate that. But, like, I like it because, you know, it reinforces the mood. And your goal is to find your father, who you realize is that in your specific vault, nobody was ever allowed to leave or come in. You were born in the vault, you die in the vault, end of story, as far as your vault was concerned. But he goes in and out. You're like, okay, let me go find him. And when you leave, the objective is find your dad. That's as much as they give you. So you have to bump around and talk to people who are, some are liars, some aren't. Some might think that you're talking about their dad. And it's like, no, you're not my cousin or nothing. You ain't my brother. I don't know you like that. And the funny part is, like, in that game, you could, like, all the decisions are so final. Like, you could piss off the person with actual knowledge, and they're like, yeah, I ain't telling you shit now. And you're like, well, what do I do? And they're like, I don't know, figure it out. And the objective will just be find your dad. No waypoints, no directions. You just got to go figure it out. And I guess that's the thing I got from Kingdom Hearts. Just figure it out. You'll bump into somebody, maybe. But, like, if you really don't care about finding your father in the main plot, like, the game's still very rewarding. There's plenty of side quests that just take you all over the map. And so Kingdom Hearts is the birth of everything that I like, and I'm going to stop talking now because you wanted to get into the Game Awards. I'm going to shut up now. Matter of fact, I'm going to delete half my rants anyway to get to this point faster because we're like 35, 40 minutes in.
All right. Jeff, you son of a bitch.
Who's Jeff?
Jeff
Who is this
Keighley,
Jeff
the host of the Game Awards.
Ooh, Jeff.
He was promising, like, major things. Like, everyone's just hyping up.
What'd he say?
He's just saying that the things that he's seen and prepped up to be revealed at the Game Awards is, like, it's just going to blow. It's just going to change the whole future for gaming.
This is going to change gaming.
Yeah, and realistically.
They say that every year, don't they?
Yeah, but the way he worded it made it seem different.
They say that every year. This is going to change gaming. See, no, it's not.
They did that thing where they got my hopes up and then they crushed it by it being like 80% indie games that most people don't care about.
Side question. You and I are both Detroit Lions fans, yes?
Unfortunately.
You should know by now it's the hope that kills you.
Yes.
You should know.
I don't know. That win against the Vikings, though, felt pretty nice.
You're adamantly in tune with it's the hope that kills you. Never hope.
Yeah, at this point, it's like, we won a game. I'm okay. But no. So, like he's making it seem like we're going to be these fantastic, gigantic, like mind-blowing reveals. And it's just like, okay, no, that's all right. And then just, oh, okay, there's that. Oh, yeah. Holy shit, is that Alan Wake 2? Oh my god! And then just, okay, whatever. Like the whole rest of the show, besides that one reveal, I had one reveal that I was like, oh my, like you can ask the roommate back home. He was there next to me when I was watching it on my phone, just like, I was punching my couch, I was throwing stuff. I've been waiting for that game for like a decade at this point. Now, I think I texted you like right after. I was like, yes, that's finally happening.
In all caps, by the way.
Literally all caps. I was excited. But after that point, it's just like, okay, game that I don't care. I mean, it's also more reflective on me. It's like, just depends on what games I'm into. Like, if you were into majority of the stuff, you were going to lose your mind too. But a lot of it was games that we already knew about. And it wasn't as much as like reveals. It's just like a reveal of a new trailer for a game that we already knew about. It's like, oh, okay, so you were wording it the right way that you were supposed to get hype up for the Game Awards.
Yeah, I didn't want to crap on your dreams.
Also, the fact that It Takes Two won Game of the Year, I'm just like, whatever.
Yeah, I don't want to crap on your dreams because like EA had their own event, Sony had their own event, and Microsoft had their own event, and E4 was struggling to have a really good like showing. So I figured
EA
the
had
Game
Dead
Awards
Space remake reveal, so I was okay with that.
So I figured that the Game Awards were going to be a real challenge to like put something honest together, like some worth your time, because
I mean,
games are so big now, they cost so much money and time that they just can't put them out like they used to because they're expecting such a big return on that investment. And I used to get mad at that, like, oh, AAA gaming, but now it's like, I get it. Like Spider-Man PS5, the next Spider-Man game, I am so ready for
your
that.
Your dog just scared the hell out of me.
See, man, a little fuzzy. He's a little terror.
I just feel poof right against my inner thigh. I'm like, hello.
He just put that little paw on you. He's like, I want attention.
Yeah, he's
now,
like,
see, there you go.
Yeah, he was like, how you doing? I'm like, whoa, hey, whoa.
Yeah, like there's so many like how we expect good games to be. Like we expect so many side quests. We expect it to not be too long, but not too short. We expect the graphics and art to look good. And from a developer standpoint, me being a writer, as a podcaster, like I can only imagine spending 3, 4, 5 years of just 60-hour work weeks trying to get a game together just so some guy can beat it in 2 days, playing it nonstop, and just go, that game sucked. Where's the sequel?
Wait 3 to 5 years.
I know. Like, I'd much rather, like, games be shorter as long as the staff can make a game that they're proud of, because I remember there was a couple of, like, the first 2 Assassin's Creed games I think are perfect for the series. And I think after that point, they just kind of become entertaining because they don't have enough time to craft the narrative, they don't have enough time to build the world, they don't have enough time to give you all the freedom that you would normally, and they went to the annual release style, which is just like there's a new one every year. It's not fun.
I'm just gonna interject here really quick. The whole same release every single year, just stop that. You're just recycling the same thing every single year, and maybe every like 3 to 5 years, oh, we got officially something new into it. No, stop releasing a game every single year.
Oh, did you
give your teams time to make something actually good and not just recycling trash?
Oh, did you mean Call of Duty?
I meant that too.
Like I remember Call of Duty.
I'm aiming at everything. Call of Duty. I'm aiming at Battlefield. I'm aiming at Madden. I'm taking shots at every single thing.
Call of Duty was on top when it decided to do that because people couldn't get enough of it. But like in high school,
talking about the original Modern Warfare trilogy.
Oh yeah, like back in high school and early college.
Last time it was actually good.
Yeah,
I'm saying it now. Come at me, COD fans.
If you weren't playing COD, then what were you doing? You know, that was the game. Kind of like in middle school, Halo was the game. If you're not playing Halo, what are you doing? But
I was playing Resident Evil 5.
The annual release kills games. It's just not fun because by the time COD cycle ended, people were like, I hate COD because it's all those out. But I hate Madden because it's been the same game every year. Like they were like, hey, we're gonna make Madden 13 and all that for the new gen, and they took a bunch of features out with the expectation that okay, you know, they're gonna come back. And you know, every year a Madden can't be a winner. You know, but at least you could tell they were trying things. But like now,
the last 5 years has been the exact same game.
Oh no, since Madden 13 has been the same game. Madden 13
was the last Madden I bought with my own money.
You know what? I wasn't gonna rant today, and I don't think I am. But like, I am such a massive college football fan. I still play NCAA 14 college football. Still play it. Still have. That's the only reason I have an Xbox 360 in my living room. They're bringing it back, and they're probably going to release it on 2023. But news came out that it's going to run on the same software, same engine that the Madden games do. And I was like, I don't even think I want it at that point. I don't want it. It's going to be a copy and paste of the gameplay, just with more teams and more uniforms.
EA, we hate you.
Hate EA.
I'm so tired of people giving you money because you just got lazy. You need to stop being lazy. You can.
See, you want to rant. You want to rant. I know you do. My issue with
I crap all over EA, but yeah, I'm like looking at my like gaming library. It's like the Dead Space trilogy is EA. I have Dante's Inferno, which is EA game. Shadows of the Damned EA game. I have a lot of EA games, but I hate them.
yes,
I hate EA.
Oh,
I don't hate the games. I love those games. Like Shadows of the Damned, I'm gonna show you someday, and you're gonna just be like, "What is this?" And I'm like, "It's fantastic. Is what it is."
And now we're gonna get into something else. Now that I'm bringing it up, my thing with all media, I would rather have it be bad than boring.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense, I'd much rather play a bad single player game
Mm-hmm.
than a game that just you tried to be middle of the road. You didn't want to take any chances or risks.
You try to satisfy everybody.
Exactly, and I
fail
think
to
that's
do
what
so.
they do with Madden. It's like copy paste for the next game, and it's just like at least when I remember growing up, Madden like 04, 5, 6, 7, there were a couple of those games I didn't think were any good, but at least I could be like, you know what, I'm gonna shoot them some bail and not criticize them because I can see the direction they went with it. Like I can be okay with it. There are a lot of single player games I didn't like. Like personally, I can't think of anything. I'm not prepared. I'm just winging it now. I'm gonna delete that part. I want you guys to think I'm way more prepared than I am. But like with a lot of TV shows I watch, I'll watch like a good couple episodes and I'm like, you know what? It's not very good. But like I can drop it and think it's gonna get good because I can see that this is what they're going for. Did they miss it? Yes. But I can respect the try. You know what I'm saying? Like I've seen a couple TV shows and books and movies and especially games where like it's just boring the whole way through. And I'm like, don't waste my time. Like don't like respect my time. And that's kind of the issue a lot of people have with like one of my favorite games, Destiny. There are a lot of quests that are just, yeah, go ahead, kill 500 aliens, then get back to us. Huh?
Excuse me?
Let me do what? They're like,
Okay.
yeah, you want this weapon, right? And it's like, yeah. It's like, all right, well, complete a bunch of bounties, and then you might randomly get the bounty drop. And then once you get the random bounty drop, go kill 500 aliens, then come back. Yeah, I'm putting you down, dog. Uninstall.
There's a reason that I'm more of a single player guy than a multiplayer
Yeah.
guy.
What makes a game good for you? I should say, because everything can't live up to the games we've talked about today, naturally.
I mean,
But what makes a game? At what point do you look at a game and go, you know what? It's pretty good. Pretty good. Don't mind it.
in recent years, it's just been like what I've kind of just stay in my own like little bubble. Basically, I'm just like, okay, I like this, so let's try that. It's more or less just trying out. Like for example, the Dark Souls games. I did not play them or even attempt to do anything with them until I played Bloodborne in 2020. Well, now I did play it when it first came out, but I never got past the first boss, which, in my defense at the time, I didn't realize was an optional boss. But I just found him first. I was like, all right, it's the main boss. Speaking of which, Bloodborne's music. Mwah. I love the music.
Also, side note: if a game has optional bosses, you know it's really good.
Yes.
You know they have.
FromSoft makes fantastic games.
You know they had. Drip to spare.
Absolutely. Now, oh yeah, they have like choirs, horns, everything. But now, I didn't beat that boss until 2020 because Bloodborne was my like 2020 game. Like that was the game I played. I have like over 400 hours now.
Oh, that was your quarantine game.
That was my quarantine game. I played the crap out of that with my buddy Jeff, and we wound up basically going through it together and being it. And it's like that game. I was like, oh, that was the game that made me get good.
Shout out to Jeff, man. Shout out to Jeff.
If you're watching this, you're the best. If you're listening to this, you're still the best. Do both. Now,
Do both. Give me those clicks,
yeah,
Jeff.
Yes. Give all the views. Now listen. That game was like, all right, let me try Dark Souls now because it's the same company, but Sony helped make Bloodborne because it's a PlayStation exclusive. Hopefully they release that definitive edition at some point. Sony, please, I'm begging you, PS5 definitive edition, please. Now, Dark Souls.
No, they're too busy releasing colored covers for their PlayStation so the bots can get them.
For $55 a pop.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's a hard no for me, good buddy.
Yeah, that's a hard no for me. You don't want that hot pink PlayStation?
I would want any PlayStation 5 at this point.
But no, so Bloodborne is a faster paced game compared to Dark Souls. Dark Souls like hide shield, boom, boom, like I said, I did Bloodborne first. And I played Dark Souls 3. I wound up beating that, and then I wound up beating Dark Souls 1. Still working on Dark Souls 2. Don't come at me, Dark Souls fans. But which is like the black sheep of that game series. Like a lot of people are like, it's not the best Dark Souls, but still a good game. Like I honestly enjoy the crap out of it. I've enjoyed like the color palette of that game just stands out to me, which I guess you can tell like I like blacks, like hints of like purple, blue, and all that stuff.
I like. That's gonna be the title for this episode. I like blacks.
Oh it just clicked in my head. I'm like, wait a minute.
It's gonna be the title for the episode.
No, so like colors.
I like blacks.
Colors pop in that game more than like Dark Souls 1 or Dark Souls 3. So I just like so visually it just looks better to me. But those are the games that I was just like, oh, I like this type of game now. All of a sudden, I'm like, oh, I'm actually decent at it now, so I know what to pay attention to. Okay, so last year and a half has made me a Dark Souls fan, made me just a FromSoft fan in general. Which Elden Ring, which at the point this comes out, should be coming out within like a week of it. That's my anticipated game of 2022, and I'm hoping that winds up being the game of the year. I don't want that game to disappoint, because that's going to be their first take at an open world concept where you're like, oh, you can go here and do this. Oh, you go here, do this, go do this, and then blah, blah, blah. So it's like that, just that genre in general has become like my general. There's like a game called Mortal Shell, which is influenced by those games that I've recently just tried to play, and I'm like, this is fantastic as well. So that's probably the closest thing to like experiencing something new and being like, oh, this is what I'm looking for. So that's about it. Speaking of anticipation 2022, what's your biggest hype for 2022, and why is it Horizon Forbidden West?
Oh, because it's Horizon Forbidden West and nothing else matters.
Say no more. Thank you for listening.
I was going to say, that's the ender. That's the closer right there. No, I want Horizon Forbidden West, and the day that comes out, I'm taking work off, and I don't want to hear anything. That's it. I'm going to, release date, don't expect me at work. And if my boss is like, hey, your PTO's denied, I'm like, sweet. Bare minimum you get then. I'm clocking in at 8 exactly, not taking no lunch, clocking out at 4 exactly. Good night. I got dinosaurs, homegirl. What you talking about?
I got giant.
What about you?
I got giant elephants that are totally not influenced by the Mumakil from Lord of the Rings.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, did you not see that trailer with the giant elephant thing? It's like, that's totally like...
Would you storm offset if I said no?
No.
Okay.
No. But no, it's like this. It literally was. I think that's honestly like the statue for the collector's edition is like that giant robotic elephant, and it looks fantastic. And I'm pretty sure the mutual friends got that already pre-ordered, like 5 of them at least.
Yeah. So this is gonna come out in 2022 at the beginning of the year, which is gonna be great. And you know what else is great? Having you come through for this episode.
Appreciate that.
A lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. Where are you Twitch streaming full time, and where can we find you? What's your schedule
When
like?
I'm making bank, I'll be doing the full time. Just kidding.
Yeah.
But no, I'm aiming to do either. I mean, at this time, I don't know because I'll be probably in the middle of moving, so I'm not sure what my schedule is going to look like. But for the time being, look out for roughly every Friday for now.
Every Friday.
Every Friday for now.
Awesome. I'll be there every Friday.
And
It's
for those that tune in, I will probably have updates at some point. It might not be every Friday, but that's what the goal is right now.
For me, it's great. I can attest to how good the stream was because I was sitting down, writing on pen and paper, getting some book thoughts together, and I was like, oh, this is great. I'd look up, watch you flail around in dead space. I get motion sick. I'd get scared because it's dark in my house because I like it dark. And then I would, look down at the paper and try to think of happy things.
Meanwhile, I'm screaming in the background, getting murdered by aliens.
Oh, yes, the big belchers that throw up acid at you. Although Dead Space does look intense.
Yeah.
Too intense for me to play.
Dead Space. I'm currently doing Dead Space 2. Should be wrapping that up here pretty soon. At this point, it will be done.
Awesome. Anything else you want to talk about or plug?
Listen and watch this right now. Do it.
Hey, the podcast you're already at the end of. Do it again.
Re-listen.
But thank you, everybody, for listening, watching. Thank you for clicking. You can follow me, your gracious host, on Instagram at E2TheBoogie. This has been my amazing host, Dillon Cook. And if you want to come back for the anime content, do it. Actually, I don't have I didn't know where that sentence is going to end up. We did games today, but then they don't need to know we did games today because guess what? We talked about it all day. There's no disclaimer anymore. Anyway.
You will see me again.
Oh, for sure.
And you will hear me again.
For sure. Hopefully. It's going to be great to have you back, man. It was great to see you again.
Great to see you.
Good to see you doing well, looking good. See that beard and all red and shit. But all right, guys, thank you very much for listening. You can follow me on Instagram at E to the Boogie. And this is the Ecchi and Chill Show.